Thank you to my patrons. Your generosity and commitment to my work is astonishing. I sincerely appreciate it.
However, when there is a constant extreme restlessness in spiritual environments, then it can be an indicator that it most likely is a demon, and the demon doesn't want you to be there.
So if you're extremely restless at church, that's it. You've got a demon. Couldn't be that you've got ADHD, no? Couldn't be that you had a Red Bull or two before you came in. Couldn't be that you just snorted a big bag of... No? None of those things? Hey everybody, Magic Skeptic here, and don't worry, the video is about to begin. I just wanted to take a moment to make you aware of my Patreon, the link for which can be found in the description below. Sign up today for as little as £3 per month and you can gain access to a plethora of perks and extras, including downloadable audio-only and ad-free versions of my podcast that you can listen to on the go. You can also have your question answered in a monthly video, and better still, depending on which tier you choose, you could even sit down for a Skype call with yours truly, Magic Skeptic. All that is available and much, much more. All you got to do is click the link in the description below. I hope to see you there. Hey everybody, Magic Skeptic here, and you're all very welcome to another episode of A Magician's Thoughts. So here we have a channel which quite ironically has the word facts in the title to tell us a whole bunch of non-truths about demons and how to tell whether or not you have one. Who are these people? Jokes aside, the speaker in this video isn't intending to convey the idea that these 10 signs of demon possession are facts in and of themselves. If you look into this channel and what it's all about, the goal in his video is to convey what people believe. So these 10 things that he lists in the video aren't facts in and of themselves. It's merely a fact that certain cohorts of the Christian community believe these 10 things that he's about to go through. So I'm going to respond to these 10 signs, not as claims made by the individual speaking in this video. Rather, I'm going to respond to these 10 signs as beliefs that certain Christians hold. In any case, if you're waiting to hear the 10 signs that you have a demon, the wait is over. Let's dive right in.
So let's jump into this one. And number 10, paranormal activities. This is probably the simplest one to look for. A sign that you can know if there is demonic activity going on is if you notice anything going on. You know, the book of Mark actually serves as an illustration for this in the Bible. And there's a passage that goes as follows. Because he had frequently been chained and shackled, he also managed to break the shackles into pieces and pull the chains apart. No one was able to control him. He was constantly sobbing and stabbing himself with stones in the mountains and the tombs, day and night. And that's taken from Mark chapter 5, verses 4-5. So this person here, he showed a strange supernatural strength, as well as he was very good at dismantling any sort of restraints. He lived among tombs. He howled at night.
First of all, the book of Mark serves as an illustration for nothing. Nothing. We are talking here about a storybook which makes a hell of a lot of claims. Speaking of which, the story that he's referring to here is the story of Jesus performing an exorcism on a man, and he banishes the demons out of this man into some pigs that then drown. This story is insane. And the idea that this would serve as evidence for anything is preposterous. These are just words in a book. This is just a story. And before anybody wants to jump down my throat and point out that, oh, well, there are historical accounts in the Bible. Yeah, I grant that easily. But just because one thing in a story is true doesn't mean that something else in a story is true. If I list off 10 facts, alleged facts, and 1 through to 9 are all demonstrated to be true, that doesn't mean that alleged fact 10 is true. Each claim has to be demonstrated. Each point, each claim, each story, each proposition has to be demonstrated on its own merits. Just because something is true over here doesn't mean that something over there is true. Things have to be demonstrated, lest you be accused of being irrational or lacking in skeptical fervor. Furthermore, even if we take some of the details of the story seriously and suppose that there was in fact a man who was very difficult to bind with chains and who managed to break out of those chains and so forth.
He was very good at dismantling any sort of restraints.
The idea that this means that the person is possessed by a demon is a considerable leap. Have you heard of Harry Houdini? The guy who could be bound by no chains? Guys, you're speaking to a magician here. You're speaking to a person who has been involved in the magic community and involved in the practicing of magic for decades. There are a slew of methods that a person could use, yes, even back then, in order to escape from chains. Right? And if you're going to say that that's an unreasonable hypothesis, first of all, that's insane if you're going to suggest that that's an unreasonable hypothesis when the alternative that's being proposed here is that a demon is in this guy. But if you think that's a stretch, it's also possible that the chains were just poorly made. It's also possible that somebody helped this guy escape. It's also possible that he had a tool hidden on him that he could use to escape from the chains. There are so many possibilities here that don't require that we suspend our skepticism and just start believing in demons. Oh well. Let's get through it then. Let's move on.
Outside of that, though, seeing like a chair move in your house or shadows or hearing sounds, that's also a sign.
It was only a matter of time before we got to the supernatural, allegedly supernatural and paranormal phenomena involving the moving of objects and so on and so forth. If a chair moves in your house and you can't explain it, that serves as evidence for absolutely, you got it, nothing. If you don't know what moved the chair, you don't get to ascribe that to your mythology of choice. Please notice that if you engage in this kind of thinking, the moving of the chair could be ascribed to any number of supernatural phenomena. I could allege that the moving of the chair is evidence for the existence of the invisible man. I could allege that the moving of the chair is compelling evidence for the existence of telekinesis and the ability of certain humans to be able to move objects with nothing other than the power of their mind. I could use this as allegedly compelling evidence for the existence of ghosts. But if you're a Christian and you believe in demons, when the chair moves inexplicably, of course it serves as evidence for the existence of demons. This is hogwash, folks. Unfortunately, all you can do in a situation where you can't explain why the object moved is say that you don't know why or how that happened. That's what a skeptical person would do. That's what a reasonable person would do. They certainly wouldn't assert that this serves as compelling evidence for the existence of demons. Anyway, let's move on.
Moving on to number 9, chronic sickness. So according to Christianity, a demon can also cause you some chronic illnesses. And this reference is found in Mark chapter 9, verses 25. Deaf and dumb spirit, I command you to come out of him and enter him no more. Jesus said, rebuking the unclean spirit. So in treating this person, Jesus not only treated them, but also rebuked a spirit that had influence over them. That indicates that certain illnesses may be motivated by demons.
I must admit, this is really depressing, this one, because it is this specific tenet of belief amongst various Christians that results in the death of innocent people. There are Christians in this world who will resort to prayer instead of the hospital. There are Christians in this world who believe that their child is possessed by a demon rather than simply suffering from schizophrenia or epilepsy or some other condition. And this breaks my heart because in cases like this, and I can put links in the description, dear listener, in cases like this, it has been known to happen where the parents don't take their child to the hospital. They don't do it. Instead, they opt for so-called Christian solutions. They pray, they have their house blessed, or they seek out the help of an exorcist. And needless to say, none of these solutions work. None of these solutions are medicine. If they did work as medicine, hospitals would be using them. And it's that simple, folks. And so this really does break my heart. This really sucks, because there are very real people out there in the world who are suffering because of their religion. Help is available for them, but because of their indoctrination, they don't seek it out. This is one of the reasons I do what I do on this channel, guys. I mean, there are people in this world who suffer at the hands of their faith. I hate it when people pretend like religion is innocuous. Oh, it's just something that comforts you when your loved ones pass away. I'm afraid not. If that's all it was, my channel wouldn't exist. If all religion was a comfort and nothing more, I'd have nothing to talk about in this channel. But the truth is, it can be much more insidious. It can be much more dangerous and life-threatening. This story he's referring to in Mark, Jesus says himself that the power of prayer is what's necessary in order to heal certain people when they become so-called demon-possessed. But we know better in 2023. We know that when somebody is suffering from a quote-unquote demon, that there is a natural explanation for it. Schizophrenia, epilepsy, whatever it might be, some kind of psychosis. And help is available for those people. Medicine has advanced an incredible amount since biblical times. And to think that there are people who don't seek out that help because they think that they've got a demon inside of them, and because they think that prayer is going to do it, and because they think that they need an exorcist. Oh man, it's devastating. Hopefully they'll see the light and realize that they're hurting themselves and their family when they believe these things and when they refuse to bring their children to hospitals or what have you. And on that very, very sad note, let's move on.
In at the number 8 spot, craving ungodly things. A demon may manifest itself as an intense, uncontrollable craving for things that are unclean and ungodly, and understanding the difference between what can result from a demon's influence and what can just simply be a weakness of the flesh is very, very, very crucial. It is believed that demons depend on your body to provide them with food that they need, so to speak, which comes in the form of an individual giving into ungodly cravings like excessive alcohol and drug use. This fuels the demon and it wants more.
Newsflash! People are addicted to alcohol. Newsflash! People are addicted to gambling. Yes, these things are addictive, and there are very good psychological reasons why that's the case. It has nothing to do with the supernatural. It has nothing to do with demons. It has everything to do with human psychology and our desires and the so-called phenomenon of diminishing returns and so forth. Look, guys, I'm not a psychologist or a clinical psychologist, so I'm not about to break down the psychological landscape of addiction and what that involves. That would be beyond the scope of this video and beyond my expertise. But the idea that a demon is required to explain any of this is just insane. It's insane. I'm sorry, dear listener, but I'm not going to give this particular sign any more of my time. I think I'll just go get drunk and do some gambling.
At number 7, depression and heaviness and fear is also a big sign. As per the Bible, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one that is full of power, love, and of a sound mind instead. And that's taken from 2 Timothy 1 verses 7. Now, there are 3 types of fear. There's a spirit of fear. There's also the fear of God and the natural fear that serves to protect us. So it is made clear by this verse that it actually might be a spirit. When you feel as though something is taking control and rendering you incapable of functioning, this tells you that there's actually a difference between a genuine fear, like a fear of crossing a road when it's busy, you don't want to get hit by a car, versus if you're just incapable of going across the road completely, it's a sign that this could be a demonic spirit.
I think this is really ugly. I think people who suffer from depression and social anxiety could do without the Christian community jumping on their shoulders and alleging that they're demon possessed, which is what this amounts to. I think it's sick. I think it's absolutely disgusting. Do you not think that the people who suffer from very serious depression and social anxiety have enough on their plate? Do you not think they have enough going on? If I came to believe that there was a demon inside of me, I'd be terrified. That would multiply my depression and my anxiety tenfold. But worse still, this person could become a social pariah in a Christian community. If depression is believed to be synonymous with demon possession, well, who wants to hang around with the person who's possessed by a fucking demon? You're going to ostracize these people. You see, guys, religion isn't innocuous. These beliefs have consequences. There are people in the world who might say, oh, who cares if somebody believes in demons? What harm? Well, you're seeing it here, folks. I'll tell you what harm. As we've already seen, they might not bring their child to the bloody hospital. As we're now seeing, a person might end up being socially ostracized, or their trauma might be multiplied tenfold because of these so-called silly beliefs. This is horrifying. It's disgusting. Religion and mythology is not a substitute for counseling, psychiatry, and mental health professionals. It is not a substitute for medicine and medical professionals. It isn't. Now, I'm not saying that all Christians believe the things that are being said in this video, but vast swathes of the Christian population do. There are many fundamentalists, folks, and they believe this kind of stuff. And it's just devastating to think about that reality. Let's move on.
Moving on to number 6, also an urge for violence is a sign that you have a demon. No matter how much of a thrill seeker that human beings are, we often have a healthy limit, and this of course keeps us going and it keeps us alive. But a person can lose the sense of awareness and lose control, and that is based off of the amount of control that a demon may have in their lives. So these type of people, they frequently may hurt themselves or hurt others, and this occasionally happens with outbursts, just random angers of outbursts which cause hurt on other people. And oftentimes somebody would say, I don't know what happened, I just lost control, it just happened. Yeah, could be a sign.
And the besmirching of those with psychological problems continues. So now it turns out if you have an anger management problem, you've been possessed by a demon. Give me a break. Give me a break. It's not enough to attack people who have depression and anxiety. No, now we have to go after those with anger management problems. I'll tell you why we lose control. It's because we don't have control over our emotions. Who told you that we had control over our emotions? Every single day I wake up, it's like playing roulette. I don't know what emotion the ball is going to land on. Sometimes I wake up and I'm happy, and that's great. Other times I wake up and I'm sad, and I don't quite know why. Other times I wake up and I feel a sense of appreciation for life, and other times I feel ungrateful. Our emotions do not respond to our will. Tell a depressed person, why can't you just be happy? What a ridiculous thing that would be to say. Oh, you're grieving the loss of a loved one? Why don't you just choose to be happy? It doesn't fucking work that way. Our emotions are never under our control. They just aren't. Now, when nobody's talking about, there is this phenomenon where people get so angry and they later on describe a sense of having lost control. But I think if you examine that closely, dear listener, I think if you introspect and pay attention to what that felt like, it's actually, principally speaking, no different to any other emotional state. It's just that when you're angry, you might have done something that you regret. But how is that any different from having a feeling of lust, for example, which you are powerless to control, which causes you to cheat? You might regret that as well. I hope you would regret it if you cheat on your partner. But if you don't choose that either. We don't choose our emotional states, folks. They're not subject to our whims and our will. If they were, depression wouldn't exist. If our emotions were subject to our will, sadness wouldn't exist. Who'd choose to be sad for a week? Who'd choose to be sad for a life? But of course, all of this serves as evidence for demons. Give me a break. Oh my God. I'm trying not to swear. but it's really, really difficult. Let's move on.
Next, let's look at attacks while you are sleeping. It may be a sign that you have a demon if you frequently have nightmares or dreams of being intimate with other people, as well as visions of spiders even, or if your life is being taken in your dream, or if you're being chased and followed. It's also a sign if you start seeing people that have passed away.
So being horny and having nightmares also counts, dear listener. Yeah. Just gonna let that sink in. Being horny or having nightmares also counts as evidence for demons. Yeah. Well, I must have a hell of a lot of demons then. And it's not because I have nightmares. What are you supposed to say? What are you supposed to say? It is perfectly natural and normal to have dreams whereby one fantasizes about other people. This is normal, folks. We are sexual beings. I know Christians don't like to think about that a whole pile. Unless we're talking about the Catholic Church, and you know what I'm talking about there. Christ above. But, yeah, simply being aroused and having dreams about it counts as evidence for demons. Excellent. Couldn't be that we are sexual beings, no? Couldn't be that we have evolved with an interest in other human beings? Leads to the continuation of the species? Couldn't have anything to do with that, no? No, of course, let's ignore all of that. And nightmares. It couldn't just be that we have trauma in our lives that our subconscious reflects on. Couldn't just be that we have stresses and anxieties. That exam dream that I had where I failed, couldn't be that my exam was coming up soon or anything. No, couldn't be that. No way. Those dreams I have where my loved ones die and so on. It couldn't be that I just love them and care about them and that my anxiety can produce those kinds of dreams where I've lost them, because that would be a terrible thing. No, couldn't be that. No. It's obviously a demon. Don't even know why I'm resisting here. It's just so obvious. It's demons. Yeah. Speaking of nightmares, I'm going to have a nightmare about this fucking video. Ugh.
Number 4, intrusive thoughts and voices. According to Christianity, Satan has the power to instill ideas in people's minds. These can include intrusive, compulsive thoughts of self-harm, perversion, or blasphemy, as well as persistent voices in your head. Sometimes even audible voices. Now, the Bible story of a man who resided in the tomb serves as an illustration of this. The passage goes as follows. They were terrified when they arrived at Jesus' location and saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind. And that reference is in Mark chapter 5, verses 15. So it said that his mind was restored. He was in his right mind. He was delivered. So take some time to notice your thoughts.
And the assault on mental illness continues. So now if you suffer from bipolar or some form of psychosis, again, turns out it was a demon all along. Never mind all of those medical researchers and professionals who have spent their lives studying these psychological illnesses. Never mind all of the treatments and the help that's available in our hospitals and in our clinics. You just need the Bible. Turns out you have a demon. All you need to do is dedicate your life to God, say your prayers, and get good with the Lord, and all will be well. My God, really and truly, the Bible is a very dangerous text, isn't it, folks? If people take this stuff seriously, if people read what Jesus has done in terms of banishing demons from people's bodies and healing the sick with prayer and all this kind of stuff, it really is a very, very dangerous textbook if people try to enact it in their own lives, if people seek religious solutions as opposed to medical solutions to their problems. Can you imagine how terrifying it is to be a person hearing auditory hallucinations, but not being aware of the medical research, not being aware that there are in fact natural explanations for such a phenomenon? Let's imagine that this person is steeped in a religious community, an evangelical or fundamentalist Christian community, and they're surrounded by people who are telling them, yes, that's a demon, it's the devil is communicating with you. Can you imagine how much that multiplies the trauma? Can you imagine how much worse it makes the whole experience? To have those who you trust the most, your peers, your local priest, or whatever you want to call him, this person telling you, a person you trust intrinsically, your parents, your loved ones, telling you it's a demon or it's the devil. Again, guys, my heart breaks for these people who are trapped in these communities and in these situations. All they need is medical assistance. All they need is help. All they need is medical professionals to take a look at them, and they'll be able to get the help that they need. But instead, they live in absolute ignorance, absolute superstition, and absolute misery, without any hope of recovery. All I'll say in closing is that, and I think this is a pretty safe bet, my money is on the medical professionals if I start hearing voices in my head, not on the priest or the vicar or the person who's touting exorcism as a potential solution for the problem that ails me. Anyway, let's move on. We're almost there.
Next up, number 3, the dislike for Deliverance Ministry. According to Mark chapter 1, verses 23 to 24, it says, "Just then, a man in their synagogue who was possessed by an impure spirit cried out, 'What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God.'" When someone suddenly starts to feel hostile towards deliverance ministers, a demon may be at work in their lives. And frequently, one might notice certain things happening during a deliverance, like the person yelling, "I hate you, I hate you." But after the deliverance, well, they show a lot of love and gratitude for the ministry. So this is definitely an indication that a demon is controlling the person.
If hostility to Deliverance Ministry is evidence of a demon, well then I'm possessed, folks. Deliverance Ministry is known by another name. He's referring to the practice of exorcism here. The kinds of people who go around and cleanse you of your spirits and your demons. Maybe the word exorcism is out of vogue for some reason. I don't know. But essentially and principally, that's what he's referring to. And I would be pretty damn hostile to an exorcist or a deliverance minister were they to show up at my door were my family sick, for example. If they showed up at my door and said, "Well, we'll help you banish the demon that's plaguing your family," they'd be lucky if I didn't break their nose with a punch. Does that mean I'm infested by a demon?
At number 2, this sign that you have a demon is restlessness in spiritual places. So everybody definitely gets tired occasionally when it comes to church services or even during prayer. There is nothing wrong with that if it's done occasionally. And even in the Bible, there's instances while Jesus was in prayer that his disciples actually fell asleep. You can check Matthew chapter 26, verses 40. However, when there is a constant extreme restlessness in spiritual environments, then it can be an indicator that it most likely is a demon, and the demon doesn't want you to be there.
So if you're extremely restless at church, that's it. You've got a demon. Couldn't be that you've got ADHD, no? Couldn't be that you had a Red Bull or 2 before you came in. Couldn't be that you just snorted a big bag of cocaine. No? None of those things. I can think of plenty of natural explanations for extreme restlessness. Not to mention the fact that church is boring with a capital B. My God, little else is more boring. I would prefer to watch somebody do wallpapering. I would prefer to watch the grass grow in the garden. That is more exhilarating. And a hell of a lot of people agree with me. Extreme restlessness is frightfully common in church pews because it's just so dull. Especially in the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church, where things are so dull. The Lord is with you, also with you. The priest has this really dull, monotone voice. I am one in him and he is one in me. Oh my God. Any Catholics and Anglicans out there from this part of the world, you'll be able to agree with this. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what? This sounds like a strange thing for me, Magic Skeptic to say. But I'm really jealous of those black churches and evangelical churches in the United States where they're all up on their feet, dancing and singing in joy and jubilation. Oh, happy days, when Jesus walked, All of that is so exciting. It's so energetic. They're filled with the zest of life. It's great. If only it was about something else. If only it wasn't all about Jesus and the Bible, I'd be tempted to go. I mean, it's super, super energetic and entertaining, and it's great. But this part of the world, the reason people become restless is because it's criminally dull. It's so unbelievably boring. But no, you heard it here, folks. It turns out you have a demon. Goodness gracious me. Let's get on to this last bloody sign and be done with this nonsense.
Ending this episode off at number 1, interest in the occult. Now, there's a passage in the book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 16, that says, a female slave who had a spirit by which she could foretell the future met us. She was a fortune teller and brought in a lot of cash for her owners. So even if a person claims to be a Christian, they could have a demon if they engage in tarot card readings, idol worship, using Ouija boards, as well as reading horoscopes, and even engaging in talking to spirits of those who passed away, or any other occult activity. Taking part in such activities is an indication that you have opened the door for demons to enter your life.
Or they could just be a person who lacks the slightest modicum of skepticism. These people exist, folks. I know some of them personally. The kind of person who believes all of the bullshit they're fed. They believe in tarot cards. They believe in star signs. They believe in crystal energy and chakras. They believe in God. They might be a Christian, but they believe everything. These are also the kinds of people who believe the moon landing was faked, that certain catastrophes were an inside job or a false flag operation, that the Titanic was sunk by the Russians, you name it. There are people who lack skepticism. They're not haunted by a demon. They're not demon-possessed. They're just idiots. They're just idiots. If idiocy is evidence of being demon-possessed, I dare say, and I submit to you, dear listener, that there's a massive number of demons living on this earth. Because the number of idiots is incalculable. And you know what? I can be an idiot sometimes. It just depends on the topic. There are topics that I know very little about that if I were to start speaking about that topic, you'd think that I was a colossal moron. Is my idiocy evidence of the supernatural? No, it's evidence of being ill-informed. But leave it to the Christian to identify absolutely everything and anything as evidence for their mythology. And with all that said, dear listener, I'm going to have to leave it there. Out of sheer exhaustion, this has to come to an end. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked it, please drop a like on the video. That helps out the channel so much. You have no idea, guys, how much dropping a simple like on a video helps out. It tells the algorithm that this video is one to be looked at, and so it shares it with more people and the views go up exponentially and so on. It costs you absolutely nothing. So if I could ask you one favor at the end of this video, please drop a like on it. If you want to take your support of the channel to the next level, you can jump into the description box below. When you get there, you'll find the link to my Patreon. Click that link and you'll be brought to a page where you can sign up for as little as £3 per month. And for that, and depending on which tier you choose, you will gain access to a plethora of perks, bonuses, and extras. Other than that, if you want to tell me how I did in this video, if you want to leave some constructive criticism in the comments below, or if you disagree with me and you want to tell me why, leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to read it and respond. That's it. Thanks again for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. All the best. Bye-bye.